Okay, we're in what we call a make do moment. So this is Michelle from Seams Like Quilting, and we're in this moment. In this moment, I have done something that I don't feel very smart about. So let's start with this. This is a panel for a new collection called Arctic Tale from Art Gallery. It's absolutely adorable. I love the polar bear, love the penguin, love all the borders. It's just beautiful, and it's this great like collection of icy blues and grays with this beautiful kind of aqua and turquoise, and there's a bunch of different shades in there, and it's really, really cute. Okay, that's the good part. The other good part is that we picked this fantastic pattern from Villa Rosa to go with this and make this panel quilt out of this panel. Here's the tricky part. And this is the part that I was all smugly like, I got this, but then when I got home, 2.5 hours away from the shop and realized I didn't got this, now we have a make do moment, okay? So this right here is a panel quilt for a panel that's 24 by 42 inches, okay? This panel that is from Arctic Tale is 36 by 42 inches. So in my, in my brain when I was at the shop late on a Saturday afternoon, cutting frantically the stuff that I needed to take with me, I thought to myself, okay, well, we'll just not do this first border because this first border together is 8 inches finished, which is exactly the same width as the border that's on the Arctic Tale panel. The outside border on the Arctic Tale panel is 4.5 inches wide, which would finish at 8 inches. So in my brain, I thought to myself, okay, I just will not cut. I'll cut this border, I'll cut this border, I'll cut these cornerstones, and I'll only have enough for 3 of them, not 4, because I'm not going to cut this border. So for those of you who are astute with the math, what did I do wrong? Well, what I did wrong was the pattern calls for a border that's 42, or a panel, excuse me, that's 42 inches tall, and my panel is 42 inches tall. So, while I do need to omit this first border on the sides, I need to have the first border on the top and the bottom because my top and bottom have to get made because otherwise I'll be short. The whole proportion of the quilt will be completely different. Now, if it were just me doing this, this would not be a big deal. I would just be like, oh, okay, well then the quilt's gonna turn out differently than it looks in the picture. No big deal. But this is a shop sample and we're gonna make a kit out of this. So we have to be able to clearly, we wanna set people up for success. So the pattern really does need to match the panel. Now I can put something in the instructions that say omit border 1 or whatever because of because of the panel size. So that's option 1. Option 2, I could cut the side borders off of my panel. So these side borders, I could cut these off of my panel. But of course, when I was at the shop, I did not cut the fabric for this first border because I didn't think I'd need it. So I don't have enough fabric for that border. And again, if this were just me making this for myself, then what I would do is just pull something from my stash. I've got cool stuff that would go, right? I've got fun things that could work with this. I've got cool black and whites that could be fun, right? But again, this is a shop sample and we need to kit it up so that people can make exactly what the sample shows. So I can't just pull something from my stash because we can't guarantee that we're going to be able to get that in the shop and we don't already sell it. So what's a girl to do? Well, this is what I'm going to do. I've sat down and I've come up with a plan. So I am going to, out of the pattern, omit these 2 borders and then not make these half square triangle cornerstones. But what I am going to do is I'm going to cut out of a solid fabric in my stash. I'm going to cut a border for this top and an extra border for this bottom, and only the top and the bottom. So the measurements will stop at this edge for this cornerstone to be in it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go from the end to the end. So basically I'm going to cut two strips of fabric that are 4.5 by the total width of my panel, which is 36 inches. Okay, so why am I making this out of a solid and not a print? Well, I can replace solids really easily. Manufacturers go through fabric and designs at different paces. So there's some designers that they just keep fabric in their library for a really long time. And there's other kinds of fabric, other designers that the fabric comes and goes. And anybody who's bought a kit a year ago and then run out of fabric knows the stress of this. So because we're making a sample, I need to use fabric that we can replicate at the store. My stash is not, believe it or not, all built out of what we have in the store. I have older stuff. And so I need to make sure that what I put in this quilt, we can do again. And what's great about solids is that even if you have a solid in your stash that's from a different manufacturer, you can usually come within an eye match of the color from manufacturer to manufacturer. So I can make this kit. This does happen to be a Century Solid, which is what we carry in the store. But the reason we carry it is because I love Century Solid so much. This is a Century Solid. This is Fog. We carry this in the store. In fact, I know that we were out the last time I was there and it's already on reorder. So I can comfortably put this in this kit. The other cool thing is I do have enough. Barely, but I have enough. So I'll be able to make this top and bottom strip out of this. And then the last cool thing is that because of all of the great shades of gray and aqua in here, this Fog just sits really, really nicely with the rest of this. And so when I look at the other fabrics that I chose for this, so this is one of the borders. These are the cornerstones, and then this is the outside border. So when I look at all of that and I say this is the outside border. So when I look at all of that and I say, what's gonna fit in with this and not be too obtrusive? I think this is gonna look just great. So here's the thing. When you're in a make-do moment, it's really just about not throwing up your hands. It's really about sitting down and figuring it out and using all of your knowledge and all of your can-do attitude and all of your knowledge to say, okay, how do I make this work? What do I absolutely have to achieve here? And what do I want the end to look like? And so by the end of this, I think it's gonna look like I meant to do it the whole time, which, by the way, if people are not following us on social media or don't see this video, if you would just do me a solid and tell people, oh yeah, she meant to do it that way the whole time, I would really appreciate that, because I feel like I'm really putting myself out here with this really frankly boneheaded mistake. And so I would appreciate some cloud cover with that. Thank you all very, very much. And I will let you know how it goes.